How are you? Thank you for inviting your followers. Hey, Arizona is my home. Yay, I made it. I know. Good morning. Good morning. Please go ahead, if you will, and share. Hey, Colin, good to see you. I see you as you're coming in now. Okay, I'm going to share over to Cloud Hub. If anybody could tell me, too, if, whoops. No, I did something I shouldn't there. Tell me if Cloud Hub and YouTube are up. That would be great. That would be une ball. Okay, there you go. YouTube's up. Yay! Yay! I love it when everything works like it's supposed to. I've missed you and our patrons. I know, Clara. We've missed you too. James Powell, good morning. I just linked you on my podcast. Why, thank you, James Powell. I really appreciate that. Hey, Bonnie, good morning. Good to see everybody. All right, Cloud Hub, don't give me... Cloud Hub got a little glitchy there. I don't know if it was a glitchy, but or if it was just... I don't know. Sometimes it's Friday. What can I say? What can I say? All right. So let me go ahead and see over here. Good morning, Loretta. Good morning, Patrick Conley. Gary, good to see you as well. Grateful Mike, good to see you. Let me read a little bit from Psalm 15, and then I will be moving straight ahead into the news. Lord, who may abide in your tabernacle, who may dwell in your holy hill, he who walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart, he who does not backbite with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord, he who swears to his own hurt and who does not change, he who does not put out his money at usury, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall never be moved. Psalm 15. Amen, amen. All right, riots here for the second night in a row. In New Mexico, Patrick? Wow. It's Friday. Yay. Hey, Paula, good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. Yeah, I guess it was glitchy. I don't know why it does that, Bonnie. I really, it's little, disturbing for me when it does that. It gets a little glitchy. I see it. All right, so let's start with the news. Breaking news, at least 4 people have been stabbed near the Charlie Hebdo's former office in Paris. Remember that a long time ago? Shadowing, Lynn said. The site where the Islamic terrorist attack in 2015 left 12 people dead. Al-Qaeda, the terrorist group, had recently issued new threats against Charlie Hebdo, which moved after the attack to highly secured offices. That's reported by the New York Times. The threats followed the newspaper's decision to reprint satirical cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. Hey, Renee. And another reason, let me just talk about this for a second. Another reason that you can't mix and have an interfaith of different types of religions. Hey, Leo Dempsey, keep the faith. If you're a Christian, you can't. You're supposed to remain a Christian, not intermingle with other faiths. So the Paris officials said that while authorities believe that initially there were 2 people, it looks like there was only 1 person, and authorities have them in custody, I believe. So pretty bad. Not unexpected, but pretty bad. Hey, Marnie, good to see you. All right. So, hey, JC, good to see you. JC Botha. Is it Botha or Botha? I don't know. But it's JC, so that's what I know. All right. Let's see. Have you started using rumble.com? Dan Bongino needs a prayer. Just led to really pray for him. No, I haven't used Rumble. I'll check that out today. But, as far as Dan Bongino is concerned, we talked about him yesterday. He does need prayer. So everybody, please keep Dan Bongino in your prayers because of the lump that he has in his neck. That is not like the typical things that he normally gets. Hey, Twin Courier. And just keep praying for him. I know he's going to go in, I think, today and have some more, work done, either to remove that or to see what it is. I know there was something further that he needed to do. So please do keep him in prayers. Dan is only 45 years old. He seems to be a great guy. I've had him on my show as well. Rumble is fun, different but fun. I'll have to go check that out and see what that's all about. I had Dan on my show years ago when I used to do podcasts where I would read a book a week, actually, and I would have the people who wrote books on my show, and it just got to be too much because all I was doing literally all week was reading a book so that I could interview my guest on the weekend. Now, a lot of people didn't read books like that. They just would talk to the person and try to, breeze through it and find notes. I like being prepared. So I wanted to read the book. So really understand what the author was trying to say. So I would take that task on once a week, read the full book, and then question the author on everything I'd read in the book. And it was good, but it was really time consuming. Hey, Monica. Hey, Lee. Good to see you both. All right. So other great news, John MacArthur's church in Los Angeles, California. That's why I watch you, Clara said. Thank you, Clara. Grace Community Church. You may remember Pastor MacArthur. He's being fined for going and opening and having worship in his church because, that's a horrible crime. And he has a temporary restraining order against opening his church, but he's opening it anyway. The county and the city, I think it was actually the city, who terminated his parking lot lease because they thought, well, let's do that. We'll keep that guy out of church. We'll keep that God-fearing man out of church. And no, it didn't work. And so now he has been granted a trial by the same judge who has granted the temporary restraining order. Now, that trial is not going to start until next year, but they're going to have a hearing sometime in November regarding his temporary restraining order. Hopefully, by then, people will come to their senses and drop that temporary restraining order, but we shall see. Please pray for him. We should pray for all the pastors who are opening their churches, doing what God tells them to do, and assembling together as Christians. Pray for them. Pray for MacArthur that his fines will be dropped and that his temporary restraining order will be dropped and he'll win his court case. Such a blatant violation of the First Amendment. Yes, it is, Twin Crier. All the ministers need to get together and say no more. If all open up, they will do nothing. That's right, Mike. But see, there's a problem because you have some pastors who think that that's going against God by opening up because you're supposed to obey the government. Here's the thing. First of all, when the government is contradictory to what God's word is, you are to follow God. When, in this instance, the people, our government works for us. We do not work for them. We are not under their control. Therefore, we do not have to submit to them. They need to submit to us. And obviously, that's not what's happening. So that some of those pastors are weak-kneed, I'll have to say, and should do what God says and not what man says when there's a contradiction. Good morning, Don. Love John MacArthur, very godly man. Yes, Don, please pray for him. And it would make sense, right, that they're going after him so hard because of the fact that we are in a very spiritual battle right now where we see a lot of demon-possessed, if you will, not the kind that you would see in necessarily in The Exorcist. I'm not saying that, but demon-possessed spirits of people. We need to be the Daniels in the day of self-appointed kings. Absolutely. I want to give you a couple of passages. There's a lot of mention in the Bible about demons and about people being possessed by them. Because sometimes I think, maybe I say that about people having an antichrist spirit or being demonically possessed. And people think, well, I don't really understand what that's all about, or that doesn't sound right, or that sounds conspiratorial. But the Bible, if you ever look it up on your own, talks a lot about demons. James 2, chapter 19. So if you want to write some of these down, please do. James chapter 2, verse 19, Matthew 12, verses 43 through 45. Matthew 43, this is the ESV version, so I'm going to read that to you. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it passes through waterless places seeking rest, but finds none. Then it says, I will return to my house from which I came. And when it comes, it finds the house empty, swept, and put in order. Then it goes and brings with it 7 other spirits, more evil than itself. And they enter and dwell there. And the last state of that person is worse than the first. So also will it be with this evil generation. The Bible is very specific, and it talks about it. It is real. It is not something made up. People can have a demonic spirit about them. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Seeking someone to devour. I wonder if she were asked if Pelosi would be able to say Jesus is Lord. Well, she's Catholic, Monica. Maybe at one point she had to. I don't know about now. I don't know. And God will be the judge of that. That what I just read was 1 Peter chapter 5, 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. So again, there's more of them. If we have time at the end, we can talk more about it if you want to. But I just wanted to let you know it is real. It's not something that is made up. Jesus himself cast out demonic spirits, Dawn said. Yep, witness Pelosi, Patrick said. She's Cino, C-I-N-O. I think she's one of the possessed. Monica, I've said that before. I have to say again, I do believe that she has an Antichrist spirit about her. I believe that there are a number of people in Congress, unfortunately, who do. And you can spot that. You know, you can spot the Catholic in name only. Okay, thank you, Noelle. Just like Biden, I guess. You can see, you know, a person and know who they are by the fruits, right? By their fruit. So what has Nancy done? What have other people like Adam Schiff? It has been rotten fruit. Looking at any works that they've done and what they've done for the American people. The people who choose to worship Satan are willingly possessed, Happy Family said. All right. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. Again, that's why we need God's discernment. Hey, Teresa. Teresa, I sent you an instant message, so hopefully you got that. Now, other news. Governor Northam, that's the governor of Virginia, and his wife have tested positive for COVID-19. Again, if I were them, as yesterday with the Missouri governor, I would go and get a second opinion on that. Because, as you know, there are a lot of false positives. She is not allowed to take communion due to her stance on abortion, I think. Marnie, I know that Biden wasn't at one point. I don't know about Nancy. As a Catholic, I know you're not supposed to take communion if you have that stance, but that doesn't mean that they prevent her from doing it. But I think specifically Biden's priest had asked that he not be given communion because of it. All right. And that was a little while back, so I have no idea what they're doing now. You believe that there is only one God, that is good, but even the demons believe that, and it makes them very afraid. Monique said, yes, James chapter 2, verse 19. They have no conscience because they're of the father, the devil, who is the father of lies, Happy Family said. Well, and you can see again by their works, what they've done this whole time is nothing for the benefit of the people of America. Hey, Wayne. It's been all for their benefit, their agenda, their plan. It seems that, you know, we'll talk more about it in a minute, but it seems like, you know, with the FBI and Mueller investigation, all that they were involved in was all for, you know, as the president says, it was a coup to take over, to overthrow the government. You know, that's treason. It may not be the legal definition of it, perhaps, but I don't know how much farther you can come to it. It sounds like something you want to, again, and I know people have said this, but you want to talk about the Russia connection. When I read what they have found in the reports about what happened with the Mueller investigation, what Strzok did and McCabe and all that, it sounds like the Russian Gulag. I mean, it really does, or the KGB, right? Because it doesn't sound like something that would ever happen in America, and yet it's probably been happening most, if not all of our lifetime, and we just are finding out about it. They are for foreign investors and illegals, not we the people. Yeah, and they're only for that, Twin, because it benefits them, right? ultimately it benefits them. We, the people, we, the Christians especially, don't benefit them in any way. What do they want to do with Christians? Well, here's what they want to do. They want to get rid of Christianity. Logging off for a second and moving to a different forum on my phone so you can follow me around the house. Great, Marnie. They want to bring in communism. Communism gets rid of the nuclear family. Communism gets rid of Christianity. Communism changes the rules on everything. It makes it where, for example, having children is a community effort to raise the children. They don't stay with one parent. Separation of church and state. Here's Danny said, yes. In every certain way, in every single way, I should say, they want to get rid of the connection between church and anything else, and the people. So if you can destroy the church, you can destroy the family, and you can destroy any of the other American cultural beliefs that we have, that's bringing in communism, and that is the goal of communism. You look at our public school system. I was, horrified to learn that Tennessee was one of the states, or so I've been told and heard other people talking about it, where if they're teaching your child online because of COVID-19, you have to agree that you won't watch what's happening online. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that the schools tells you now what your kids can and cannot do? Where the church, well, I don't think religion is destroying itself by hypocrites. What's happening is that Christianity is getting destroyed by those people who say that they're Christians, but they're not. They talk the talk, they don't walk the walk. It's easy to say you're a Christian. It's a different thing to live by the principles in the Bible. They must be hiding what they are teaching, Twin Crier says. Well, if you listen to AOC and people like that, Bernie, they come right out. They don't mind telling you that they're socialists, but what they really are communists. Just like Hillary said, it takes a village to raise a child. And also, Chezzy, she said, Marnie's back. Hey, Marnie back. She also said we have to do something about those Christians. Remember a long time ago, she was in favor of doing something about the Bible-believing people. A happy family said, not with my child. So they are destroying the foundations of this country. Yes, they are. Cancel culture is very real, but they're going far beyond that. I mean, it's a takeover of the church. It's a takeover of Christianity. And, that's why, and honestly, I do believe this. It may have started out making it look like they were closing the churches because of COVID. But if you look at it, churches have been closed longer than anything else. Churches have not been considered essential. And what has happened because of that? People are dying. People are committing suicide. People are feeling hopeless. People have no place to go when they need help. And so let's just pretend that the state governments didn't understand that in the beginning. They understand it now, because you'd have to live in a cave to not understand what is happening because of the fact that the churches have been closed. So knowing that, as a governor who believes that churches are essential, because they are, and the president signs an executive order saying churches are essential, you should open up the churches immediately. You should drop any lawsuit that you have against John MacArthur. So I see it as another agenda moving forward for the liberal left to bring in communism, to get rid of the church, to persecute the church. There will be churches that will never open their doors again. And some of them, it's probably a good thing, because they were talking the talk, but not walking the walk as pastors as they should have been. But, for some of them, the church's doors are closed and they'll never open again. That person had Ginsburg picture, and I knew they were saying separation of church and state the wrong way. It's okay, Robin. I'm sure it would have gotten there eventually. More atheists are coming out of the hiding now, Linda said. Exactly. It's true, Linda. Test every spirit, Chezzy said. Yeah, absolutely. That's why you have to have God's discernment and understand that, because you need to test the spirits. You need to understand that when what is being said to you, that it's biblical or not. You have to understand the Bible. Looks like Cloud Hub. I don't know why Cloud Hub is so glitchy over there. It's a shame. I've got to talk to them more about it. Something keeps happening with Cloud Hub. So Hopefully Bonnie can hear us. I don't know if she can or not. But everything else is up and working, so that's a good thing. All right. Now, last night, Trump announced during the rally that he was presenting the America First healthcare plan. Cloud Hub has been weird all week. I know, Twin Choir. I don't know what's going on. They may be doing updates, and maybe that's what's causing it. The order establishes that pre-existing condition coverage is an official policy of the United States, along with more choice, lower costs, and better care. Now, what it's going to do, it doesn't mean anything is taken to effect right now. It asks the secretaries of labor and health and human services to find ways to pursue those goals. Because, President Trump has said that all along, but the Democrats are trying to make it look like that President Trump is just going to get rid of insurance for pre-existing condition. He's not going to help those people. And that's why we need the Obamacare back. We need Obamacare back like we need a hole in our heads. Okay. That would be the worst thing that could ever happen. The costs on that were extraordinarily high. People who were millennials and didn't want the insurance had no choice about getting it or not. Chesney said, if you're not for Christ, you're against him. Yep. God may be separating the wheat from the chaff. Sue K. Tears, he is, Sue. Absolutely. I totally believe that 100%. Now, audio is glitchy too. Bonnie, if you're having problems, you might want to come over to YouTube or Periscope, if you're doing that. House has already passed Obamacare too. Yeah, Stephen, they always do stuff like that. It doesn't matter. They can pass anything they want to, but it has to be voted on and approved by the Senate. They have to vote for it. And then President Trump has to sign it. He's not going to sign something for Obamacare. But what they want to do is they want to get that in place, hoping that Joe Biden will cheat his way in. And then they will be able to put Obamacare back in place. You can have socialized healthcare as part of your socialized communistic new world, right? Because that is exactly what they're doing. All right. So now I want to go move it on a little bit to the Mueller investigation and kind of what was found. I found a thread on Twitter that really explains this really well. I'm just going to kind of run through it. Razor was the name that they gave to Flynn. Okay. So that whole investigation, he was called Razor. So 11/16, I'm going to miss the exact day. I'm just not going to include that. I'm just going to give you the month and the year. 11/16, Wisconsin Radio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin has some of the best conservative talk in the country. Well, Gary, I should be on that then. So anyway, 11/16, so glad they're closing Razor. See, they had made the decision to close the case on Flynn. 12/16, disagreement with getting Flynn financials. We didn't find anything. 12/16, this investigation is a nightmare. January 17, is U.S. General Flynn still in prison? No, sunshine. After Obama White House meeting, Razor is going to stay open. So it was very clear, even though they lied and said, oh, we really didn't talk about Flynn in the White House. And Biden said, I heard nothing. And that may be true for him because I don't know that he hears anything at all. And somebody took my picture. Thanks for the picture. He doesn't hear anything anyway, right? So he doesn't know what's going on. So it may be he didn't hear anything. So also January 17, God does, Mr. Memphis, to answer your question, what exactly makes a church? God. All right. January 17, FBI analysts discuss getting professional liability insurance over the Flynn investigation. When you are in an investigation and you have to go out and get yourself professional liability insurance, that should tell you something. For me, that would be resigning from that particular position if I felt that it had gone that far. I wouldn't stay in. Those people went out and got liability insurance. And in some ways, I say shame on them for doing that because you knew that things weren't ethical at the very least, and you stayed with it. Hey, Danielle, I have sent you messages in your instant message on Facebook and elsewhere, even on Parler. I'm not sure you're reading them. January 17th, FBI analysts suspicion of Flynn Catholic leak. It's got to be someone on the White House staff, presidential daily briefing staff, or White House senior officials. Peter Strzok notes on Flynn Intel Group satisfied the registration obligation. No evidence of any willfulness to violate the laws. That was from Peter Strzok's notes. The insurance company should have said no. Yeah. But also, you know, Nana, when you're in something and then you ask for liability while you're in something you've already started, they may not have gotten liability on it anyway, liability insurance. Convenient amnesia for Joe on Flynn. Exactly, Sally. Discussion of the investigation of Flynn. We put out traces, tripwires to community and nothing. Bingo. So what's a national security letter going to do? No content. And it just goes on and on and on. It shows they had nothing. They knew they had nothing. The order came from the top, and that would be my opinion as to why they kept going, because the order came from the White House to do this. And it appears that FBI Director Wray knew all of this stuff after the fact and has been holding on to some information, right? And that he kept holding on to it and didn't turn that over on Flynn. And that, to me, Wray needs to go. Wray needs to be fired, just like Comey. Get rid of him. Hey, Bruce, good to see you. Genesis 50, chapter 50, verse 20, they meant it for evil. God used it for good. And I feel like that's how God is using the virus, Chesney said. Wray just as dirty as Comey. Yes. It appears that way. Can we not get an FBI director that isn't compromised? Please let me have the job. I beg of you. I will take the job. I will do a great job for this country. I promise you. I can't figure out why Wray is still there either. Our insurance went up 43% this year, plus the money we for healthcare increased. Happy Family said. Yeah, well, I lost a good PPO that I had. Trump hire Susan, please, Twin Crier, get my name out. I swear to you, I will do the best job ever. I won't be compromised. Doesn't appear we can fire Wray. Yeah. I don't know. Wish he would. Yeah, I do too. I don't think he's going to fire him this close to the election. That's the problem. All right. So some other things that Trump said at the Florida rally. He said, today a trove of text messages was released from the FBI agents involved in the Russia witch hunt. We caught them. They were trying to do a coup. Okay. I absolutely, based on what's been said, I believe that. What are we going to do about it? What is Barr going to do about it? We have to do something. Let's quit talking about clear-cut evidence that we found and not doing anything. Let's start a campaign for FBI director, Susan. Clara, I'm telling you, put my name down. I will do it. I have a police background, police academy background. Thank you, Sally. I've gone to law school, and let's see what else I could throw in the mix there. Been a paralegal, a lawyer. You know, I mean, I've got the background. just let me go. All right. So halftime, please share if you will, and invite your followers in. And then we'll go on from I can't believe we got to halftime already. That's crazy. That is crazy. Crazy. And I even have a psychotherapist background, so I understand people, you know. So it's like, I'm right here. Please, I won't compromise the FBI for the American people. It will be the most squeaky clean operation you've ever seen. I promise you. All right. President Trump went on to say, these people are scum. We caught them spying on our nation. Absolutely, we did. Now, FBI agent William Barnett, who had been deposed, he played a role in the investigation of Michael Flynn, told the Justice Department that there was never evidence, thanks, Clara, there was never evidence of wrongdoing by the retired general or Russian collusion by President Trump, but the probe was kept open by Mueller because his team had a get Trump mentality. Hey, Alan, good to see you. Claimed that both the FBI superiors under James Comey and under Mueller's team exhibited bias in their pursuit of Trump. and it upended the normal investigative decisions. I mean, why they don't today go into court and say, you're a woman of many talents, Susan. Thank you, Danielle. Go in today and get things right for General Flynn. Susan, I'd give you the job, but I don't know if you want to be in. Boston T, listen, I would do this for my country. I would. The noblest motive is the public good. Somebody's got to be the light in the den of vipers, Boston T. I volunteer. The interview emerged just one day after the Justice Department released messages from the FBI analyst. Now, Barnett and others joked about how the investigation into collusion could be made into a game. People were using our time, our money, our taxpayer time and money to make up a game called the collusion clue. Are you kidding me? How unprofessional are you? I'd worry that would hurt you, Susan. Sally, you know what? If that's God's will for me, then I'm going to be fine. If not, it won't happen. Susan, you wouldn't like the DC weather. I know, James, I've been there before. I do hate it. You'd have to fire all the swamp. You know what, Renee? Fine. Susan, you're extremely qualified. Thank you, Alice. Call Sidney Powell. Yeah, Sidney Powell would be good too. Brennan and Clapper both committed perjury in front of the Senate. Yep. C-SPAN won't cover this issue. James, is that Tillman? Is that you? DC is super liberal. I know. I bet Barr isn't telling everything. Oh, I'm sure he isn't. I agree. That's how I feel about what I do. Exactly. Renee said, do it. Well, you have to be appointed, or somebody has to nominate you or whatever. I can't just walk in and, Mr. President, let me be the FBI director. Oh, that might be nice, but no. Barnett described how the top levels of the FBI, including Andrew McCabe, suddenly took over the investigation after Trump won the election and continued to keep the case going, even though there was little detail concerning specific evidence of criminal events. He said that he did not see any evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian government, and Barnett was willing to follow any instructions being given by the deputy director as long as it was not a violation of the law. Chat decided you're the new director. There you go, Boston. So, here are these people. Again, shame on them for knowing that this investigation was bogus. It was unethical at the very least, and they kept going. The 302 stated that Barnett ran the request to interview Flynn up the chain, but said the request was denied. And Jack Posobiec wrote, Ray covered all of this up. The fact that Barr said he was looking into the Clinton Foundation is a plus. Yeah, that goes back to Uranium One. That they're going to find a lot of things there. Now, Sean Davis of the Federalist. Yeah, but continue to go with it. You don't do that. Something happened and I've told you about this, at a nonprofit I worked at, that I knew things were happening, and the person was being investigated, and I went to the people investigating the corruption, and I said, I will testify against that person. What happened? That person cut a deal. All right. Because your obligation is to God, not to man. You have to remember your obligation is to God, not to man. Tomorrow's the big day of the new female justice. I know, JC. And it's going to be Amy Coney Barrett. It will be. And the next day I went to New York City. It was fun, 2 months before 9/11. Oh, Chizzy. All right. Also, the FBI has found a number of mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania that just happened to have Trump's name on them, and they were military mail-in ballots. The military is always abused when it comes to ballots. I agree, Susan, about Amy. Yep, Danielle, it's going to be Amy. It's got to be. But they found them in the trash. They were being filed for safekeeping. And I know that Attorney General Barr has come out and kind of warned Pennsylvania, if you will, in a letter. I think there should be a total full investigation. Surprise, surprise, Trump ballots. Yeah, who saw that coming? All of us did. This is good news too. Gee, who would have guessed? I know. Can you believe? I mean, how did that happen? Nobody would have believed that, right? Texas Attorney General Ken Baxton announced on Thursday that law enforcement officials had arrested 4 individuals for their alleged involvement in an illegal ballot harvesting scheme. Now, in Texas, ballot harvesting is not legal. In California, ballot harvesting is legal. And for those of you who may not know what ballot harvesting is, let me just kind of give you a real generalized definition. You can have your mail-in ballot. Somebody can come to your house and collect your ballot for you, those registers, right? And they can say, I'll take you. And they're not supposed to do anything other than deliver it to the registrar's office. But that sometimes doesn't happen. If I knock on a door, let's say I'm an evil Democrat liberal who wants to get all of the ballots I can from the Republicans, right? So I knock on the door of a Republican and I say, I can take your ballot in for you. Have you mailed it yet? Well, no, I haven't. Well, I'll save you the time going down to the post office or down to the corner mailbox. Oh, that would be nice. Here you go. And then I take it as this evil liberal Democrat and knowing this is a Republican ballot, and I just put it in the trash can for safekeeping. So these people, these 4 individuals, oh my God, and one who's a Democrat serving as the Gregg County Precinct 4 commissioner, they're accused of 134 different felony charges of election fraud and ballot tampering. If they are found guilty, each person could face 6 months in jail to 99 years in prison. I would give them more than that, but that, you have to go by the law. In Texas, we have voter ID. Yeah, all you've got to do here is show up and maybe bring your ballot book with you. And if you don't have it with you, well, you can sign a provisional ballot and, that's okay. Yep. Throw them in prison. Yeah. And one of the guys, I think one of the guys who is have allegations against him, he won because of one of the people arrested was a Democrat who won the primary race. Well, imagine how many people are doing it. Sally, it's going to make people's heads spin. But there are different states right now who are saying that they're going to count ballots days and at least days, maybe a week or so after the election. It's crazy. I think it was Michigan or Wisconsin or Minnesota. One of those. I think Minnesota is going to count it a couple of days late. I don't know which one. One of the 3, Wisconsin, Minnesota, or Michigan. Maybe all 3, but I know at least 1 or 2 of those states. I know it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be. One said you had to have it postmarked November 3rd. The other one didn't even talk about a postmark. So I could send in potentially a ballot on December the 1st, and you're supposed to count it. Pennsylvania 2, Omar State, Minnesota, of course. So it's crazy. Now, Project Veritas has come out and said that, here's what he tweeted. We are about to expose the largest voter fraud scheme in American history, and it's worse than you could have ever imagined. Project Veritas doesn't quit, and your support has been critical in our success. So whatever they come out with, if there's any legitimacy towards it at all connected with it, I think that AG Barr needs to take that information and immediately open up an investigation and send out FBI agents to every state that's listed on Project Veritas. Now, expose it now. That should you've got to do it, and it's got to be quickly. You can't wait for months and months. We don't have months and months. We just don't have it. And even if you do it, let's say you do an investigation and you find there's been fraud, I don't know how you can stop the mail-in ballots, how you can stop anything but the absentee ballots right at this point. I think it would be impossible. Why would we wait? I don't know. I just don't get it. Now, also, I have an article today on SusanKnowles.com, in regards to Dianne Feinstein's husband, Richard C. Blum. I don't know if you know who he is because a lot of people don't know who he is, but let's say he's at least allegedly worth about $1 billion. And it seems that he sits on some boards and he's a regent of a particular UC system, et cetera, et cetera. Just go there and read my article at SusanKnowles.com and see who Dianne Feinstein is tied with in regards to her husband and see what he has been up to. He admitted to doing this, so it's not an allegation. He did admit to it. So I'll leave that for you to go there and see. And a lot of people don't even know that she's married to him. And they've been married for about 40 years. It's her third marriage and his second marriage. So, and I've got all the information there for you if you'd like to check it out. I think for people who are parents, have college-age kids, it'll particularly anger you, as it should. The regions are probably California's biggest scam. Boston Tea, you're probably right. Yep. Chessie said people are waking up to the new left and their tactics. People don't like it. Well, let's hope so. Postal union workers undermining the election already, Bonnie said. That was her question. Well, somebody is. Somebody certainly is. Yeah, well, I don't know how you have a driver from China, Danielle, for 20 years and say, gosh, I didn't know he was doing anything. Yeah, Dr. Dianne Feinstein's hubby best buddies with China. Bluebird, another about him, he loves Israel. He loves Israel, unlike Dianne, who seems not to, but he is in love with Israel. He doesn't like Netanyahu. He's very liberal, of course, but he loves Israel. He does a lot of work over in Israel. So there are those people who love Israel and hate their government. So, and that's why he hates Donald Trump. It all makes sense, So, all right. Now, Lindsey Graham. There's a poll, and isn't he Jewish? Well, I would think so. Yeah, he probably has investments there. Sally, probably. Why did Feinstein mean by dogma? It's Tay-Tay. It's Tay-Tay. I don't know. What did she say by dogma? Which time? When she talked about Amy Coney Barrett, she talked about dogma there too, as well, about her religious dogma. So which time are you talking about? Did she say it? Yeah, it was about her religious beliefs. You're saying that your religious beliefs are going to influence what you do and your dogma, what you believe, which means basically she not only believes it by going to church, right? But she lives it, believes it, understands it, accepts it, everything. So that's dogma to her because see, if you can be, let's say a lot of people go to church on Sunday, they're Christians in name only, they're pew warmers, but that's about it. They don't do anything else. Thank you. I didn't understand what it meant. Thank you. You're welcome. It's Tay-Tay. So for her, that was a really horrible thing for her to be Christian and to really believe it. Susan, I heard you say that you don't get it. In reality, I'm pretty sure you do get it. Yeah, I know, Dennis. Usually when I say I don't get it, I'm being sarcastic and, rhetorical and all that. Had to move over to Cloud. Okay. Cloud Hub Fun. James, I guess it's up and running now. So every now and then it just has a glitch, but it's up and running now. But it's okay that you're here. How did this ever happen? Bruce said. Bruce, how this ever happened? You mean just where we are in this country? It happened way back when. It started with Adam and Eve. That's where it started. Can I be honest with you? And the fall of man. So that's where it started. Okay. Lindsey Graham, the poll in South Carolina shows that Graham and his Democrat challenger, Jamie Harris, who's a man, are neck and neck. Don't know if you believe that. Don't know if I believe that, but that's what they're saying. And Jamie Harrison tweeted out, "You don't have to believe in miracles to believe we can win this race. Once again, we are all tied up in South Carolina. Let's do this, y'all." Now, wouldn't that be something you would save for Texas? Let's say to say, y'all. But anyway, all right. And then if you haven't checked out about Hunter Biden, please do, about all the things that he's being accused of, all the things that he did in China. Again, where is AG Barr? Let's get the prosecution going here. There's also, for all of you parents and grandparents, I want to tell you quickly before it's Bible time, the Food and Drug Administration has issued a warning about TikTok's Benadryl challenge. What is happening is that teenagers are taking higher than recommended dosages of Benadryl and are going on TikTok and videotaping themselves. So they're really high on Benadryl and they're videotaping themselves. And taking that high dosage can lead to serious heart problems, seizures, coma, or even death. So they recently lost a 15-year-old girl who, according to the broadcast, she was a faith-driven teen, was happy and not one to experiment with drugs. But, Benadryl's over the counter. So your parents probably have it in the house. And somebody probably challenged her to do it. She may have, I don't know how much she ingested, but she's dead. So please, if you have Benadryl, maybe lock it up if you have teens in the house. Yeah, and they won't vote her age at 16. That's right. That's right. And also one more thing here. New York Democratic congressional candidate Nancy Goroff failed to disclose more than $25 million in her personal financial holdings while loaning her campaign more than $1 million, which is a potential violation of House ethic rules. But I guarantee you, ain't nothing going to happen to her. Okay. All right. Let's go on and start reading the Bible. Yeah, kids these days. Kids are doing dangerous. When I was growing up, the worst thing they did was sniff glue. And that was probably pretty bad, but they sniffed glue. Yeah, Judy wasn't in here to tell me that we were at halftime and that we were, well, I think she may have said halftime, but she didn't tell me about that it was Bible time. So I don't know. All right. Tide Pods. Well, yeah, that's more recent. All right. I think I left off at chapter 5. Does anybody remember? Pray my stepson gets the job he's interviewing for today. He hasn't worked in months. Twin crier. I pray that your stepson gets the job. If it is God's will for him to have that job, then I pray that he gets that job. Amen. Amen. All right. Qualifications for high priesthood. This is chapter 5. For every high priest taken from among men is appointed for men in things pertaining to God, that he may offer both gifts and sacrifices for sins. He can have compassion on those who are ignorant and going astray, since he himself is also subject to weakness. Because of this, he is required, as for the people, so also for himself, to offer sacrifices. And no man takes this honor to himself, but who is called by God, just as Aaron was, a priest forever. So also Christ did not glorify himself to become high priest, but it was he who said to him, "You are my son, today I have begotten you." As he also says in another place, "You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek, who in the days of his flesh, which he had offered up prayers and supplications with vehement cries and tears to him, who was able to save him from death, and was heard because of his godly fear. Though he was a son, yet he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. And having been perfected, he became the author of eternal salvation to all who obey him, called by God as his high priest, according to the order of Melchizedek, of whom we have much to say and hard to explain, since you have become dull of hearing." Audio isn't that great. Anyone else having that problem? I think everybody else can hear pretty well, hopefully. Spiritual immaturity. For though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God, and you have come to need milk and not solid food. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But solid food belongs to those who are of full age, that is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. The peril of not progressing, chapter 6. Therefore, leaving the discussion of the elementary principles of Christ, let us go on to perfection, not laying again the foundation of repentance from dead works and of faith toward God, of the doctrine of baptisms, of laying on hands of hands, of resurrection of the dead, and of eternal judgment. And this we will do if God permits. For it is impossible for those who were once enlightened and who have tasted the heavenly gift and have become partakers of the Holy Spirit and have tasted the good work of God age to come, if they fall away, to renew them again to repentance and say, crucify again for themselves the Son of God and put him to an open shame. For the earth, which drinks in the rain that often comes upon it, and bears herbs useful for those by whom it is cultivated, receives blessing from God. But if it bears thorns and briars, it is rejected and near to being cursed, whose end is to be burned. A better estimate. But, beloved, we are confident of better things concerning you, yes, things that accompany salvation, though we speak in this manner. For God is not unjust to forget your work and labor of love, which you have shown toward his name, in that you have ministered to the saints and do minister. And we desire that each one of you show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope until the end, that you do not become sluggish, but imitate those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. God's infallible purpose in Christ. For when God made a promise to Abraham, because he could swear by no one greater, he swore by himself, saying, surely blessing I will bless you, and multiplying I will multiply you. And so after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. For men indeed swear by the greater, and an oath for confirmation is for them an end of all dispute. Thus God, determining to show more abundantly to the heirs of promise the immutability of his counsel, confirmed it by an oath, that by two immutable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we might have strong consolation, who have fled for refuge to lay hold of the hope set before us. This hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, and which enters the presence behind the veil, where the forerunner has entered for us, even Jesus, having become high priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. Chapter 7, the King of Righteousness. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being translated King of Righteousness, and then also King of Salem, meaning King of Peace, without father, without mother, without genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like the Son of God, remains a priest continually. Now consider how great this man was, to whom even the patriarch Abraham gave a tenth of the spoils. And indeed, those who are of the sons of Levi, who receive the priesthood, have a commandment to receive tithes from the people according to the law, that is, from their brethren, though they have come from the loins of Abraham. But he whose genealogy is not derived from them received tithes from Abraham, and blessed him who had the promises. Now, beyond all contradiction, the lesser is blessed by the better. Here, immortal men receive tithes, but there he receives them of whom it is witnessed that he lives. Even Levi, who received tithes, paid tithes, though Abraham, so to speak, for he was still in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. Need for a new priesthood. Therefore, if perfection were through the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise according to the order of Melchizedek and not be called according to the order of Aaron? For the priesthood being changed of necessity, there's also a change of the law. For he of whom these things are spoken belongs to another tribe from which no man has officiated at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord arose from Judah, of which tribe Moses spoke nothing concerning priesthood. And it is yet far more evident if, in the likeness of Melchizedek, there arises another priest who has come, not according to the law of a fleshly commandment, but according to the power of an endless life. For he testifies, you are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. For on the one hand, there is an annulling of the former commandment because of its weakness and unprofitableness. For the law made nothing perfect. On the other hand, there is the bringing in of a better hope, through which we draw near to God. Greatness of the new priest. And inasmuch as he was not made priest without an oath, for they have become priests without an oath, but he with an oath by him who said to him, the Lord has sworn and will not relent, You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. But so much more Jesus has become a surety of a better covenant. Also, there were many priests because they were prevented by death from continuing. But he, because he continues forever, has an unchangeable priesthood. Therefore, he is also able to save to the uttermost those who come to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. For such a high priest was fitting for us, who is holy, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, and has become higher than the heavens, who does not need daily, as those high priests, to offer up sacrifices, first for his own sins and then for the people's. For this he did once for all when he offered up himself. For the law appoints as high priests men who have weakness, but the word of the oath which came after the law appoints the Son who has been perfected forever. Hello, Roarbacks. How are you? So I'm going to stop right there. We'll pick up on chapter 8. If anybody can remind me of that on Monday, because I know I'll forget by then. I forget by the next day. So let's see. One more thing. Okay. Any questions that anybody has before we go? Anything you want to say or talk about quickly before we go? Looks like people are going. So I'm just going to go ahead then. We win. In the end, absolutely, Alexis, we totally win. We totally win. Thank you, Susan. God bless everyone. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you will retweet this, that would be good. Thank you. Have a great weekend too, Boston Tea. Everybody, please share this. Go see my article at susanknowles.com. Trump 2020, Gary said. Absolutely. Good. And you? I'm good, Roarbox. Thank you. You're very welcome, Clara. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.